But the real final nail in the coffin was a Jack the Ripper researcher managed to acquire a shawl that belonged to one of the victims at an auction. And now that we have DNA testing, he decided to have it tested.
Has one of the world's most notorious murder mysteries finally been solved? A tiny trace of DNA on a Victorian shawl could hold the key to the true identity of the serial killer known as Jack the Ripper, who killed 5 women in London 126 years ago. Author Russell Edwards claims Aaron Kosminski, a 23-year-old Polish immigrant who ended up dying in an asylum, was definitely the man behind the killing spree in 1888.
I'm 100% certain. Definitive proof, conclusively proven. Put the case to bed. We've done this.
Edwards said a blood-stained shawl he bought in 2007 at an auction in Suffolk held the vital information which led him to the killer. He enlisted the help of a forensic scientist, Dr. Jari Luhainen, to analyse a shawl said to have belonged to one of the victims.
The DNA doesn't really lie, so if you have a long stretch of human DNA that doesn't appear from nowhere, so that's how sure we can be.
Perhaps the most notorious whodunit has finally been solved.
And, of course, the genetic test came back that it was Aaron Kosminski. His DNA, as well as the DNA of one of the victims, were both found on the shawl. And there you go. There you go. We have a perfect metaphor on this spooky Halloween for what happens in the West, right? What happens in the West? And why did it happen? It makes you wonder, like, what kind of fucking mind control bullshit was going on here? Because, look, there's evidence of this happening. There's evidence of not only this Eastern European Jew coming to London and committing these horrible murders. There's plenty of evidence that, you know, especially including the DNA evidence, concluding that he is the killer. What's weird is the police all seem to know it was him and covered it up because they were afraid of anti-Semitism. Why was the ruling class in all throughout the West, you know, not just in England, but in the United States, likely, I don't know, maybe I haven't done enough streams on stuff like this on this time period in Australia. I don't know, maybe the entire English-speaking West, but it seems as if you had a pattern of the Anglo ruling class covering up for Jewish crimes in fear of causing anti-Semitism. Why? And why is it continuing today? To the degree where, for fuck's sake, it's obviously, Trump basically has this in the bag. I think everyone will be very surprised if Trump is not president, not the next president of the United States, right? And one of his agendas is crushing anti-Semitism. If you listen to his rallies, that wasn't just like one of the things he mentions. That's one of the top things he mentions. So it's a tradition that continues today. The white ruling class in the West is eager to cover up the crimes of Jews at the expense of their own people. And in fact, even go so far as to imprison their own people should they point them out. Why? Why was it so important to stop an anti-Semitic incident in London in 1888? Why did the cop feel so like it was so necessary to hide that graffiti that was written on the wall at the crime scene before they could even take a picture of it? Why did all of these law enforcement officers feel so bound by some unspoken rule to never directly accuse the Jew that they all knew did it? For reasons that they all understood, the reason they knew he got away because another Jew covered up for him. They all understood this. And yet, they kept it secret. In fact, in that one book, there's that whole passage saying, And I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm not, this has nothing to do, it's not because he's Jewish. I just mentioned that he is because he is. Why did he feel it necessary? Why is there this attitude among the ruling class whites? And there is. Ruling class whites, and at the very least within the UK and America, will never, ever name the Jew. In fact, if you want to guarantee that you will never be a part of the ruling class in the US or the UK, name the Jew. You're done. No longer will you be welcome at the table. Look, and it filters down, right? All these wannabe influencers, these right-wing, they all know. Everyone saw Tim Pool losing his shit every time he had a guest on that would start talking about Jews a little bit. You'd see him like have a conniption fit. Anyone who's allowed to stay on a major platform. Look, and I guess it makes a little more sense if you look at it and say, well, today, I mean, it makes more sense because the Jews literally, they run these platforms, right? I mean, unless you're talking about X, I mean, you've got them running YouTube, Google, Facebook, Instagram. And so that they run the platform, so I guess that makes sense, right? That they would have control over that. But this is 1888, and it's not a social media outlet. It's a fucking wall. I'd also like to know. I mean, look, maybe it was a goy, but I'd like to know the name of that reporter that apparently it was heavily implied was writing these fake letters to sell papers. Maybe it was just that's all it was. Maybe it was just a ambitious goy journalist writing letters to the police to sell papers. Maybe it was something else. No names are ever named. I don't know what role Jews played in publishing in London in 1888, but if it was anything like the role that they played in America by 1988, then it was. I don't know though. Maybe not. But this is crazy. This is crazy. One of the most, if not the most famous serial killer of all time. And what do they all say? Some version of, well, it wouldn't help the public to know. Well, I guess you have to ask yourself, there's another side of that equation, because that doesn't really make sense to me. It doesn't help the public to know information. Well, it doesn't hurt them, right? Right? So you're not protecting them from something. Right? There's nothing about that information that would cause harm to the public. There's clearly another party here that you're thinking about and prioritizing over your own people, that you do think perhaps it would harm. Why are you prioritizing Jews? Because that's what he's doing. He thinks it's more important to protect the reputation of Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe around the turn of the century than it is to tell the truth as a law enforcement officer. That's the calculus. I don't see how else this works out unless that's your objective. Nothing else makes sense. And again, I'm not here to go crazy, but this is what we're talking. We're not talking about a shoplifter. We're talking about this shit. We're talking about this shit. We're talking about a fucking animal. And the fact that they thought it was more important to protect the reputation of Eastern European Jewish immigrants than it was to find justice for those dirty fucking goy whores. Who cares about those dirty fucking goy whores? They were worthless. Fucking shiksas. What's a few dead goy whores? That's what it is. That's what it is. And quite frankly, the current ruling class, they don't look at you any better. They look at you like you're a dirty fucking goy whore. Isn't that the story of Epstein? Isn't that the story when you get these human trafficking Jews that flee to Israel? Hell, isn't that the case when you look at companies like Pornhub? You could even say that's the case with, OnlyFans, Tinder. Who gives a fuck about these dirty fucking goy whores? Well, your leaders don't. Your leaders don't give a fuck about the dirty fucking goy whores. Getting disemboweled. Getting gutted like fish. That last one, it kind of seems like he took his time, right? He really lucked out. He got her indoors. These other ones, he had to do it, with like in the open. He had to be quick. That last one, he could take his time. But what good would it do? What good would it do? Letting people know who killed those dirty fucking goy whores. And that is the story of the real Jack the Ripper, Aaron Kosminski, an Eastern European Jew that immigrated to the West around the turn of the century, like so many others. And there you go. There you go.